Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, your weekly answer to insomnia. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. ISIS crisis. Is it the right decision to ban those who want to return from the militant group in the Middle East? Wizard of Oz, does the president's visit to Australia make any difference? And banning buskers. Are we losing culture or annoying beggars? Now, here are my co-hosts each and every week. Sandrina Malakiano, a political marketing consultant and former TV news icon, rebuilding that image again. And Santiago Uno, former vice governor of Jakarta and Olympic torchbearer. That was in London, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
in Manchester.
I remember that. Okay, hot topic number one. ISIS crisis. They left home to join a movement that promotes Islamic states. But for various reasons, those Indonesians want to return home from camps in Syria, as many as 600 men, women, and children. It's been a topic of national debate, and at midweek, the government announced it would not allow them to come back, saying it's to give the public a sense of safety. Earlier, Speaker of the House Puan Maharani said, don't be in a hurry to bring them home. There were questions whether they had proper documents, had renounced ISIS teachings. Do they want to be Indonesians again? This seemed like an easy decision to make, or was it?
Yeah, it's water under the bridge now. The government has made the decisions, and I think we appreciate the swift action and decisions. Now, the decision has already been made. We need to make sure that we review the whole thing on a case-by-case basis, because there are some people who were there was against their will or was misinformed.
Family members,
And they are victims.
children.
And children too.
They just went along with it.
They just went along.
Some were born there.
Some were born there.
Good
So
point.
I think on the national security interest, the government act swiftly, not to create another long debate, on policy debate, what to do with it.
Is it surprising at all that they reacted that way and that quickly?
I think
No, actually, because I do agree with the decision, actually, as Sandy said. It's the right decision to make, but then there are some particular issues that should be seen case by case. What Indonesia's face has been smeared by terrorism issues for way too long. So
So this was a statement against that, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
But again, regarding the children and the women, because they say we have to consider humanitarian issues, justice, safety. So putting aside the 689 people face to face with 267 million Indonesian people here in the country, yes, of course, they should weigh more about the safety and the comfort and the future of the 267 million of Indonesian people. And I've read...
Were they really worried about them coming back and spreading propaganda?
Yes.
Or, I mean, that's such a small number. Or was it, as we said, making a statement against?
You only need a few, actually, to create chaos and huge impacts.
And it's the narratives. You are bringing them back. And please bear in mind, these people left Indonesia, joined foreign entities that would classify them as fighters for other causes.
Yep.
It's written in your passport that when you join other forces outside
You
Indonesia,
lose
even
your
if it's
nationality.
friendly, you lose your nationality. As simple as that. Law and order
But
says.
Sandy, some even burn their
Some
passports.
even burn. I mean, they
Most of them.
completely disassociated themselves with Indonesia. So I agree with the government decisions, and very quickly, which is good, because we don't need any prolonged debate on something that is very, very, I guess, obvious. But there are, on a case-by-case basis, people who were brought there on a completely miscommunications or, was
Promises
brought
of
there
this
on
and
promises and this and that, and they repent. They completely thought it's something that they,
But it's
they
a
did
very thin
wrong.
line. It's a very thin line, Sandy. I read an interview. They interviewed this 25-year-old woman who left in 2004 5 or something, knowing really well that she wanted to join ISIS, not because she just followed her husband or something. She just went there with her own will because she believed that she had to do something that would save her religion, which she didn't find here. So she had that perspective, and when she went there, she's amongst those who want to come back home.
Yeah.
But there, she said she didn't find what she was looking for. Things were really bad. They were. It took her years to get to the ISIS center. And
I'm not sure it was that long ago, 2005, because ISIS, maybe they're called something else, but
yeah, before that.
Yeah,
I mean, but
the doctrine.
The doctrine, yes. But she went there, and then after that, she said, "Oh, okay." She got married. She had a child there, and things were just not the way they expected.
Yeah, people can change. Yeah, people can change.
But what does she mean with what not expected? Because she went there with a will of leaving the country, knowing that what they believe here is not.
Human rights activists say that now they must be held responsible for whatever actions they did.
Exactly.
They could face, war crime trials.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And very clearly, this is a matter of legal issues that should be deliberated, heard, and tried at the appropriate court if he wants to go back to Indonesia. But I think that is a very clear case. If she knowingly leaves the country, join other forces, that automatically
And you say it.
disassociated her from Indonesia. And if she wants to get back, then she has to follow procedures.
No, I have to correct. 2015. Yeah. Sorry, 2015. She left Jakarta 2015.
So it's a very complex legal issues, and I think the country have so many other issues. We should quickly make a decision and move on.
Okay, but let me ask you this: what now for these people? I mean, they will be they will be stateless.
Persona non grata.
And so where will they live? They can't live in these refugee camps forever. They could possibly become radicalized again. So maybe you're right, Sandy. We need the process to try to weed out those who are sincere and really wanting to be Indonesian again.
Right, and there are ways for foreign citizens to become Indonesian citizens. So you have to follow that process.
Reapply for citizenship.
Something like that.
And they have to go through a process of de-radicalization.
Yeah, and I guess this is the humanitarian issues, but also
complex though.
But also the national security.
Because there could be some who are planning. I mean, you never know the strategy of this.
Would you take the risk?
Yeah, no, you don't. In America, they did the opposite way. They kicked out everybody.
There are consequences for whatever you decide, right?
Yeah.
You have to deal with those consequences. Regarding the children, they say they're still weighing on the possibilities of returning the children who are under 10.
Yeah.
But
they're innocent ones in this.
So I'm glad that it's now, I guess, I said it again, water under the bridge, go and make decisions. And it should not really dominate our headlines anymore.
It did for a month. I mean,
because we have other more pressing things to discuss.
Decision has been made. I think we're all in agreement on that. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly. Wizard of Oz, does the president's trip down under make any difference? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Wizard of Oz. Now, Indonesia's president flew to Australia this past week as both countries celebrated 70 years of official ties. More important, a new bilateral treaty is being called a landmark trade deal. Among other things, it reduces tariffs on certain commodities and offers investment incentives. Jokowi was only the second Indonesian leader to address Parliament in Canberra. Now, being the closest of neighbors hasn't always meant we were kissing cousins. We've had our disputes over the years, drug sentences, Papua, other issues. The tourists who come from Australia caused some problems in Bali.
Yes, and also the Bali 9 execution.
Right, the drug issue, but we are major trading partners, so this relationship is important, very important.
I really welcome the partnership agreement that finally after so many
Took a long
years.
time, yeah.
Took a long time. Finally, we got it to the finish line. But the work is only starting. And at the end of the day, what would the deal bring to the national interests of Indonesia and also to Australia? I guess we have to be very honest about it. Would it create good quality investments coming into Indonesia? What type of jobs? Is Indonesia will be part of the food value chain? And what type of reductions in prices for beef, for instance, prices for
Sheep.
other commodities, sheep, and the basic commodities that Indonesia would benefit from Australia. What about the salt? Because we have Madura salt farmer now complaining about falling prices, and there are so many issues in relation to now the coronavirus comes in. There are rising food prices. Would this deal bring very, very tangible result in terms of the betterment of I guess cost of living for Indonesians and jobs? I think at the end of the day, I was speaking with some Australian investors. Are you guys here for the long haul to create jobs that is tied into the revolutions in industry 4.0? Because it's going to be the game changer. If we could produce that kind of jobs, I think it's going to be a very long, hopefully sustainable partnership.
Yeah, I think geography almost ensures that they're in for the long haul. I mean, they can't
Yes.
go anywhere.
During the meeting, Prime Minister Morrison he looked backwards towards the beginning of the relationship between Indonesia and Australia, because Australia was one of the first supporters of the Indonesian independence. But during his speech, Jokowi took the other approach, looking forward to the 100th anniversary of the Indonesian cooperation, diplomatic ties. Now it's the 70th
Right.
anniversary.
He said all the right things.
Yes, but we
Climate
have
change,
to,
intolerance, all the platforms that every leader
but
says.
not specifically, because actually I don't quite understand yet and into how they're going to, like from the speech of Jokowi regarding the climate change. Indonesia is
you keep it general and then you fill in the blanks later.
What I
right?
was going to say is that the fact is that import from Australia, Indonesia is importing goods from Australia is only 2.1%, right?
Yeah,
from the global import.
We're 13th.
And the other way around, only
trading partner.
3.1% from Indonesia. Indonesian goods entering
So we should,
Australia.
it should be bigger, you're
It's
saying.
very small.
Why aren't we better neighbors?
See, first of all, you can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your neighbors. So Australia, now that we signed a partnership agreement, first of all, needs to look at the trade, how we could elevate this to a fair trade relationship, not just a free trade, but a fair
Jokowi
trade.
emphasize on that, right?
Fair trade. And why don't we trade more with Australia in terms of something that really matters to the Indonesians, which are definitely the food? Why are not more Australian tourists come, and why only Bali? Why not other part of Indonesia?
That was part of the visit, right? They asked
Yeah.
for investment to other 10 new Balis that we discussed before.
And leadership on climate change, you mentioned it,
Yeah.
Sandrina mentioned it. Hey, the two countries deal with issues, bushfires in Australia,
But-
and here forest fires
Yes.
here. Why don't we cooperate
One of the
on
things-
becoming the joint superpower on environmental
But
issues?
Sandy, actually, our relationship with Australia became better after Jokowi offered help to tackle the bushfires in Australia just recently,
was-
which is a good gesture.
It
very
was
recent.
Prabowo's idea.
Oh, good.
During the campaign.
Some interest.
Yeah.
Not only
At
during
least
but
somebody's
he followed
helping.
through when he's in office now. We had a very quick decisions, and I think it's a very strong gesture. The gesture is something that is going to be very, very valuable going forward, because you're showing a friend in need is a friend indeed. So we need all the
Well
supports
said.
when it comes to the forest fire seasons again in the summer here in Indonesia. But now Australia needs a lot of help also from Indonesia.
Getting back to the topic of Jokowi, the president hasn't made a lot of international visits, as we know. And
So-
Yes.
but this was an easy flight. I mean, it's next door. So
This is the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know that, first of all, it's trade. Trade will bring investments. Investments will create stronger economy and create jobs. But there are other issues, that we have to handle. And I think the lowest quick wins would be the climate change issues, because it's something that we can sell.
any leader
to-
would have said what he
Yeah.
said, actually.
Yeah.
So there's no.
The question
breakthrough,
is,
but
what are you going to do in reality?
the trade deal.
regarding-
That was a big deal. That was but it was under his watch.
The
but it's been a
IHFI is
year.
good, of course.
protecting
yes.
the rainforests and
We are facing the same problems here with the forest fires, but underlining the fact that also Sandy said, Jokowi has shown less interest in international affairs compared to his predecessor.
But when he
Also,
goes, he makes people like
the
him.
Australian people have seen him less committed to the
think-
Indonesian-Australian relationship.
I think Pak Jokowi and his advisors watch Hot Indonesia because we've been saying step up to the plate.
Yeah.
We are the de facto leader of ASEAN. We both have been saying Indonesia have to really punch above its weight. And now that he's stepped up, I think we need to
Let's see where,
Yeah.
where
give the
where's his
credit where
next
the
trip
credit is
scheduled?
due.
I'm curious.
Australia's invitation for Jokowi to address in Parliament was a good gesture, and
Yes.
Jokowi accepting
And he
the.
opened it by saying, what, good day, mate, or something.
Yeah, good day, mate.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead. Banning buskers. Will we lose Jakarta culture? You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, banning buskers. You see these oversized dolls on the streets of Jakarta all the time. They are ondel-ondel, part of the Betawi culture used in celebrations. But the Jakarta government is considering banning these types of performances because some now use them to beg for money while blocking traffic. Overreaction? I kind of think it's a little overreaction, don't you?
No, not really, because this is actually not a new matter, not a new issue.
Right, but-
Since the Ahok Jarot government,
Yeah.
it has also been brought up.
They talked about banning it?
Yes. Even when Jarod was running as candidate for the next election, those ondel, we call it ondel here, when they saw Jarod, they ran away because he was about to catch them and bring them to.
You mean
to-
physically?
Yeah. No, I mean, they were afraid that he would catch them because he
They need a
stated.
big net.
No.
The big heads.
He stated that they are really they can't do anything yet because they have to change the regulations.
Well, okay, the problem, of course,
Okay.
is the safety issues, right? And the annoyance factor from consumers saying, I
If
want
they
them to
are
be
really
begging.
using it for begging, yes, it's annoying.
I have to be very careful here because my wife is Betawi.
Yes.
And, she loves ondel-ondel. But the other night, we were just finishing our dinner at Jalan Gunawarman. And these ondel-ondel was really harassing. And because they know who I am and they know my wife, and they kept on asking for money with a bucket. So it's really becoming a nuisance. So when I was at the City Hall, what we did is in preparations for Asian Games, we trained them. We say that, okay, you cannot go on the street, but you would be assigned some spots, and we would need to perform there and not move. Perform there in the areas that we designate, and they have to be trained to speak English, to be courteous, because these are people coming in for Asian Games. So the areas will be somewhere in Kemayoran, somewhere in Senayan. So they were okay.
Yeah, it's enforcement. It goes
So
back to
yeah, I think we need, it's a creative DNA. People want to support their own local culture, but when you don't sort of like put the right approach, then they become quite wild.
They make it worse for the rest of
they
the
make
people
it worse.
who
So
are trying to preserve culture.
I think
and that should be the priority.
I
right?
think instead of banning them, I think the government, the local creative arts community would need to get together and provide training. And some of them are underage. Some of them probably in their,
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the
13
beggars.
years
That
old.
should
we,
be
we
beggars
should
on
we
the street.
should split this into two different issues: ondel and begging.
right.
Because
Yeah, and
if
they
it's
merged, unfortunately. That's the
yes,
problem.
Yeah.
because like this, as I mentioned, since the Jokowi Ahok era, this issue has emerged, and they wanted to ban ondel being used for begging. But even it transformed into, if you want to beg, don't use the ondel because it's a disgrace because it's the mascot of Jakarta.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of Jakarta. But ondel was created to be paraded. In the olden days, it was scary looking, of course, because it was believed to eradicate plague.
Yeah.
So you need a
yeah.
permit to do a parade anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not to be put there just standing in a hall or
Yeah, they
something.
use
but
it as an excuse. So we're not
yes,
against
but then
culture, right? We're not
changing,
saying
begging using other sorts of maybe Doraemon or Hello Kitty or some sort of big-headed doll by the side of the road also begging. It's also the same case.
Yeah, we go to.
It's about the begging.
We go to Disneyland. We go to other whereby the kids
Ban
would love.
Mickey.
No, the kids
if
would
Mickey
love.
was begging on the side of the road, yeah.
If Mickey was, asking money from people to
He'd be
take
out. He'd be in
pictures,
jail.
But
That's his story.
But if the government has the resources, because they have the law, the local law, to empower this local guys, and some of them actually not really come from the Jakarta community. Some of them come from outside
We
Jakarta.
get the problem. Yeah, it's just avoiding that kind of problem, but still preserving our Betawi culture.
Of
here.
course,
Okay.
it has to
Okay.
be preserved.
So everybody
Of
needs to
course.
get together, and I think banning is not the right decision.
Yeah.
You need to empower them.
Enforcing. Okay. It is feedback time, and we love hearing from you wherever and however you watch us. Uy posted this on our TV1 YouTube page following our segment on an old tire stuck around the neck of a wild crocodile. This is proof that there are still people who don't care about life around them. Yes, sad to say, but I think rescue efforts are underway. We got some international help, and we hope that the number of people who do care gets bigger. And Adia posted
Amen
this
to
on
that.
our Indonesia channel YouTube wall. And I really don't want to read this, but I think my staff gave it. Nice. Dalton is one of our gold standard of news anchors.
Oh, come on. That's another. Every now and then you keep on bringing this.
What
Is
can
it
I
really?
say, you guys? But don't forget Sandy here, and she actually is one
Arya?
more.
Arya, could you say something nice about the two of us?
Oh, Sandy gets every week hundreds. I
Not
get
me
one in
though.
1,000.
I've never received any.
Don't
No, I'm not
forget,
asking for that.
Sandrina has gotten more Asian television awards, twice as many as I have. Okay. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email us at hotindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina?
Yeah, speaking about rescuing, not only crocodiles, the one with that tire around his neck, needs saving. I just got some very helpful and useful knowledge watching a video today. A lot of poisoning has been happening. Dogs, cats are being targeted even in the yards of their owners. I don't know why they're doing that. Friends have lost their pets because poisoned by people with whatever reason. But if you happen to have a pet, a dog or a cat, get poisoned, immediately 2 raw eggs. Just break it in the mouth and let your pet swallow it. Apparently, it really helps to eradicate the poison. And then water, a lot of water. I saw the video, it's amazing. Within minutes, the dog survived. It was at the edge of losing his life. And if you want to do a small good deed, find information about animal shelters wherever you are. Donate or just send food. It would really help a lot of lives.
That wasn't from a Rocky movie, right? It eats a raw egg.
No.
Okay.
It's
That
just recently here
40
in
years ago.
Jakarta.
There you go. Okay. Final word, Sandy.
Is
Got
that
it.
Rocky?
That Rocky.
Okay.
Sure, remember Rocky.
We have been working very hard from the longest days of previous government of Jakarta to get more people to take public transport. And I've been a biggest proponent. When I went inside the city hall, the number was around 300,000 Jakartans use public transport. Yesterday, I was informed that the number has reached 1 million Jakartans use public transport.
Wow.
So again, thank you for the commuters. Thank you for helping the environment. And we need to set a new target, because the 1 million target was quite a high bar at that time, and now we need to bring it up even to a higher target. So
Only the beginning.
continuing to work
It's comfortable, it's safe, it's convenient.
on use the public transport.
Okay, and my final words. On a trip to Tokyo this past week, I walked into a trendy roppongi restaurant and was greeted by an excited waiter originally from Indonesia. He said this, like, I can't believe it, I watch you all the time and now you're here. That was quite nice to hear, because besides reaching people who are just learning about Indonesia, it's nice to also stay in touch with former residents of this country who want to stay in touch with their home. So thanks for watching Feared House, and keep watching, and thank you for noticing I was in your restaurant. That was fun. Okay, that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sanjina and Sandy, I'm Dalton Tananaka. See you again next time.